are doing wrong?
Adults aren't they're technically not listening to children. Like they think that children are wrong, but some children are actually right.
Absolutely.
Children have a point to make. We should listen to them. Yeah.
I think children see things in a different light because they're more pure and they haven't been exposed to too much, so they can see things
Contaminated, corrupted.
yeah, in the pureness. You think that helps you see things that we don't?
They're not biased. They've not been brainwashed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think what you guys should be striving towards is to get yourself in a position where you can convince them that what they're doing is completely wrong and selfish.
I think another thing is children at their age, or even a bit younger, your little sister, she mixes with everybody. She doesn't see color. She doesn't see brown. It's gradually their parents' beliefs, culture, and everything starts to be imbibed in the children. And then you see as they grow up, they start to segregate and they see what they weren't seeing before. They weren't seeing color before. They weren't seeing that they were black, white, or whatever, tall, fat. And the social media, Beyonce, and all these things, they all take effect and have an impact on their being.
To be honest, I believe social media is the best thing that ever happened to us, because before social media, the powers that be, they censored everything that we as John public saw and brainwashed into. So now I think there's a bit more independence of our thinking and not necessarily what they think that we should know. Because if you look at the general TV or whatever, most by the time that information gets to us is censored several times over. So basically, they are just guiding us how they want us to be guided. You see, so it's important that we don't get it twisted that social media is necessarily.
I don't think we're saying social media is a bad thing. I think anything is bad. It depends on how it's used. I think social media is great in the fact that for research or for finding out the correct information, but you've also got to be very careful, especially with children on social media, and that the fact it is they are exposed to too much and they can get the wrong information and they can, if they're not watched correctly or monitored on what they look at on social media, that can also be a bad thing.
Detrimental.
Very dangerous.
How do we make the distinction what is bad for them and what is education for them? Because you need to know the bad and the good, so you can make a distinction between both.
But it can be things that are not for their age and not appropriate.
Tammy, do you? Sorry, do you have?
Yeah, she hasn't said it.
I haven't said something about
What adults?
what you want. Just
Apart from dog.
Well, I think that children, they sometimes keep a lot of things to themselves because maybe they're worried that their ideas might come out in the wrong way and they don't really want to share it, and they're not, because adults are more trained and experienced to say the right thing because they were born before us and they were born in this world. So maybe children might be a bit scared that their ideas might come out in the wrong way, and then scared about what might happen next if they say what they want to say. So I think more freedom for children to be able to say what they want to say and not being taken in the wrong way.
that's incredible.
To express themselves.
Yeah.
I said earlier, confidence. Yeah? We need to instill confidence in you young people, right? So you're not afraid of coming out and saying what's on your mind.
Yeah.
That's what's bugging a lot of our young people at the moment, because they're afraid what the adults might all the others might react to what you might say or do. See, so
That's amazing. And
all I can implore to you guys is to, whatever you're doing, do it with confidence.
yeah. And how do you think I was going to say, how do you think we can go about that? But I could tell you, as they say, what I prepared earlier. What I encourage people to do within the movement is to set up a little corner I call the Museum of Mistakes, and to celebrate mistakes. So not to be afraid. If you start seeing mistakes as beautiful things, you won't be really that afraid to make them, because every great invention, any beautiful thing you're seeing today, before it got there, there were so many mistakes. And we don't give mistakes the power that we should. Mistakes are beautiful. So if you begin, so in my home, if you come to my home, if you come to my home, there's a little corner I call the Museum of Love Letters and the Museum of Mistakes. And if there's any important, I write it there. So I celebrate mistake. Again, it's the same thing that I said earlier, that we have to melt boundaries, not see, you think of cemetery. I think I explained that before you came, Roy. And people think of cemetery and it's a place that they don't come. Temi and Oyin told me that when they heard they were coming here, they had mixed feelings, because it reminded them of the people they loved that passed away. But that's not a bad thing. It's actually a beautiful thing. But we are growing up and we're learning these things that have been put in our brains, and you get to an age when you start to unlearn them, to start to think of different. So that's important, to speak to someone that can listen to you, and if it becomes difficult, what do? You write a love letter. So what I call a love letter is what you're saying, because sometimes adults won't let you talk because they think they know. So you can pen your love letter and write everything on your mind in your love letter, and either give it to the adults or keep it somewhere until you think is a time to give it. Okay? So that's a good way of using love letter. So if you label it love letter and you put it under the pillow of dad or mom, they're going to come and they open it. Remember, we are working on the idea of pregnancy. The mind is pregnant. It's full of energy. It's what you deliver from your mind that creates a good or a bad atmosphere. So that's, I think, should we stop the question for them to raise? And do you want to raise, or are you still ready to take questions? Mm-hmm. Or do you have questions for us? You can see all the items on the table. Is there something you want me to explain?
Maybe to explain what this means.
Yeah.
I have a question for.
Okay, go on.
them.
Right. So ask your question.
Yeah.
Are you still ready to answer questions?
Yeah. Let me ask.
Okay.
The governor in the middle.
Ryan.
The theme seems to be love. What do we understand love means? Roy, the question to you. Love, what is this love that we're talking about? What kind of love is it?
Kind of respect.
In one word, respect, right? Yes.
What else?
Temi?
Elaborate on that.
Do you want to talk more about that, Roy?
Maybe they can
Okay.
write
Temi?
love and break it down.
What do you
love
understand?
is respect. Yeah, Temi, yours?
Love is coming together and
Coming together.
being kind to each other and treating like a whole big family. Yeah.
So this is love, because we've come together and we are like a family and we are discussing problems and solutions. Okay.
Love to me is when somebody cares for you and somebody can trust you and somebody is showing kindness.
Amazing.
So,
Fantastic.
kindness, trust, and care.
Yeah. Do you want to say more, Roy? Adults, do you have something to add